Our goal, proceeding through this video tutorial, is to take a scatter plot like this and reformat it so we have a scatter plot that looks like this. And the reason why we want it to look like this is much more professionally presentable. What makes this professionally presentable? Several factors. One, these axis titles, horizontal and vertical, are really easy to read, and they include the units. So here we're talking about height in feet and drop height also in feet. So it really puts into context the data points that we're seeing here in the plot area. The horizontal and vertical axes are very easy to read as well. Font size is larger. The font is emboldened. These numbers, these labels on the axes are, separated with a little bit of a gap, making them easy to read. And we have tick marks that do not go into the plot area. The tick marks come out from the plot area, and the tick marks are centered here on our axis labels. And we've done that both on the horizontal axis as well as the vertical axis. Another point to mention is that all of our data is safely within the plot area. So our highest, furthest data point that we've got out here does not bump into the edge of our plot area. So I've added a little bit of a cushion here to this rightmost data point, and there's a little bit of a cushion around this leftmost data point. There's also, these data points. So they're black, they're not colored. When color is printed in black and white, it can come out to be shades of gray that can be difficult to read. So convert the color to black and you won't have that problem. And by default, a border around this graph will be created, and we want to take that out. So this creates, a very clean, nicely presentable figure. And because of the sizes of these texts they're designed so that if you take this graph and you shrink it in half, it's still readable. So let's flip back over to what we're starting from. This is where we want to end with, but this is what we're starting from. And now you can see a lot of the different problems we have. One, the font size of these axis labels, as well as the title, it's way too small. If you tried to shrink this graph in half, this would no longer be legible. When we look at the data points, they're colored and they're somewhat small. So color is bad because then if you print it in black and white, you may not see these as clearly. And we want to make these data points larger as well. I mentioned earlier about having a cushion around the data points. So you can see this rightmost data point, half of it is missing because it's actually being cut off by the top of the plot area because it's cutting it off at 400. So we'll want to expand the axis a little bit more to put a cushion around this rightmost data point to kind of match the cushion that we've already got here on the left-hand side. Also, another thing that you don't need is we do not need a chart title like this. We will be describing what this figure is about with a caption down below, so we don't need that. And if you get rid of it, it leaves you more room for your data. And that's what you really want to showcase, is you want to showcase the pattern in your data. And the other thing too is grid lines. Most of the time, you're not going to need grid lines. Grid lines at first you might think look cool, but honestly, once you paste this or import this into your document, and then you go to print it, you're not going to see these lines anyway when you print it. And if you change the lines to be black, okay, then your graph is going to look way too busy. You're going to have all these vertical lines, you're going to have all these horizontal lines kind of competing for attention with the actual data and the pattern in the data that you're really interested in, that you want to showcase. So we want to take this initial chart, this initial graph, and alter it so it looks like this.